Yellow. This angle might annoy me. It's a little better. I have a bit of a word, an experience I've been going through that I've been garnering a lot of wisdom through that I want to share. So, as of, what was it? What's today? Wednesday? As of Monday night, me and my landlord agreed that I will be leaving my apartment on Saturday. And the messages that are coming through are about how to actually complete a quantum leap or a timeline jump. What actually starts to happen when you can maintain an internal frequency long enough that your external also begins to shift. I've been at this apartment for 9.5 months, which is a fucking pregnancy. And there's so much divine feminine synchronicity as well. But I'm going to stay focused. Let's start with my knees. My first big quantum leap was Stanford. That was the first time I was able to really see that I could create a kind of reality for myself. And something Spirit has shown me a few months ago was like Dorothy and The Wiz, and how Dorothy, comes in on this tornado and is told to put on these red shoes and to follow the yellow brick road. And as she follows the yellow brick road, she encounters these different people who also need to get to the Wiz to get what they need. They get to the Wiz, they're sent off on this mission to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. They come back, they realize the Wiz is a fraud. And he can't grant them what they need. And then they encounter Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, and then she realizes that she could have went home the entire time because the shoes that she had on, were the magic. All she had to do was click her heels 3 times at any point and could have went home. And the Scarecrow was the most intelligent the entire time, and the Lion was so courageous, and the Tin Man was so compassionate and loving the entire time. Everything that I've been in the pursuit of in reality creation has literally always been here. I've already manifested the timeline, the same timeline that I keep asking for. I've already manifested it. It's always been available to me. There's just been a missing key, which I'll kind of explain, I guess, through my knees. I get to Stanford. I'm there for LSP. We're playing volleyball. We're not even playing real volleyball. We're like bouncing the ball around. And I make fun of, like, I don't know who it was, about the way they kicked the ball. And my left knee went in and out the socket, and then I fell to the ground. That knee recovered pretty well, I thought. But the whole time, though, I was actually overcompensating with my right knee. And one time I went to the chiropractor in like 2021, and they told me I put 10 pounds of pressure more on my right knee than my left knee. So that was my first knee escapade, was 2016, when I completed the biggest quantum leap, the biggest timeline jump of my fucking life up until that point. When I was an adult and responsible for myself, I literally quantum leapt to a kind of paradise for myself. And there was a lot of adjustments that had to take place with that too. The next quantum leap is obviously when I graduate, and we graduate into a pandemic. And one of my coping mechanisms is walking, because we couldn't go anywhere. We had to be in the house. There was like a standstill. So in order for me to feel like I was in motion and that I wasn't stagnant, I would just walk. And I would walk for like 4 hours, just walking, just to feel like something was moving and something was happening. I would ignore my body when my body said it was done. And I would keep going because I didn't want to be at home. I didn't want to sit with my emotions and my feelings and things. I was trying to numb everything out. So by the time I moved back to the Bay for my job at the museum, probably like a couple weeks into, maybe like a month into it, I fucked my knee up over walking, and it recovered pretty well. It recovered again. It was fine. And then when I left that job and was trying to go into like freelance work and starting my business, my money got funny, as I've told this story many times. And in March of 2024, I fucked my knee up again, and I have not recovered since. Usually it recovers on its own. Usually it does its own thing or whatever, but I've not recovered since. I think it was 2024 as well, when my knee fucked up again. I was on a call with one of my Reiki godmothers. And I was like getting some energy work done, some insight. And I was like, what the fuck is up with my knee? I knew it was energetic because it always happens around really big transitions. And I knew it was also physical because I was using it as walking as a coping mechanism. So I was getting a like overuse injury. It's an overuse injury. What is happening? And she was like, you're quantum leaping, you're switching timelines, but your knees are holding energy from the previous timeline that you won't let go of. I'm like, okay. And I'm like working on that. Like, what is that? What could that be? So fast forward, I actually recovered my knees. I was walking with no braces. I was walking at least like an hour or so, no brace, around my favorite lake. And I was doing really good. I remember walking around campus in October with no knee brace on and was fine the whole time. My knees did really good. I was actively really recovering my knees. And then it was time for me to move into this place. And the transitioning from being like having no place and relying on housing from friends and chosen family to like now being responsible for my own shit was a lot for me. It was like a little too much for me. So my knees fucked up again. And Spirit told me to watch my knees. They told me what I need to do for my inner child and for my body as I transitioned into this space when I moved here, because I have a really big wound around moving. I moved like 40 something times, and I moved like, I don't know, maybe 15 times before I even went to college. We moved every year. And the biggest move was when we moved from Chicago to Lincoln, Nebraska. That was really big. But my mom or nobody in my family had the tools or the capacity or, the emotional intelligence to like have these kinds of conversations with us when we were about to transition somewhere. So my mom was not like, all right, you all, we're going to move again. This is why we're moving. we have this much time. Here's a new place we're going to be going to now. How's everybody feeling? Is there anything y'all want to say? I mean, we were leaving friends, and like, I remember one time in fourth grade when I knew I was leaving, just crying on the bus because I really liked the friends that I made, and I liked where we lived, and I liked the experience. And I was just crying because I was like, I'm never going to see these people again. I'm in fourth grade. I don't have a cell phone. I didn't really have computers, or if we didn't really have Facebook, it's because we were like 9, so like we didn't have any access to keep up with each other. And my mom wasn't really like the PTA type. So like there was no relationships developed across parents for us to keep that kind of thing up. So I was like, I'm losing all my friends, and it's just so sad. Every move was so sad. Every move was so sad. And we never got the opportunity to process our emotions. We just had to pack up the kitchen, pack up the bathroom, pack up your room, pack, get it on the U-Haul. We're going to go to a new place. We're going to unpack. And like, we would pack up a house and unpack a house in 2 weeks, maybe less. Like, we would get to a place and we're like, we lived there forever. And we would pack up a place so fast, it was like we was never there. And we never processed our emotions, nobody. And but my mom didn't have the tools, and she was in survival mode, and she was just trying to figure shit out. But we never just was able to do that, So I knew Spirit had told me, like, that's what you need to offer yourself. And I told my friends, and I just couldn't do it. There was so much momentum for the nervousness that I didn't have enough momentum in my higher self to embody that, to really give myself that kind of energy. So I didn't, and I fucked my knee up again. And I'm so sad because I was so sad because I was really good. I recovered it very well, and I was on my way to like start like weight training and things like that. I was doing really good with my knee, and it's been fucked ever since because this place, this vortex that I've been in, man, I've never caught my breath. I've never gained the kind of like internal stability that I was after in order to like even maintain this place. And this is another conversation, but divine will, my intuition was telling me not to do this, not to move in here. But I wanted it so bad, and everybody around me wanted it so bad that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this anyway. Man, you get mollywopped when you don't listen to divine will, when you don't listen to your intuition. This just had to happen. There's so much I learned that, like, it also just had to happen this way. If I could have made the other decision to not do it, I would have. But it just had to happen this way. So now I'm about to move, and my knee is starting to fuck up because I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and then I'll come back to that. These last 4 weeks, I felt the best that I've ever felt in a very fucking long time. And I remember just having a conversation with some friends during the National Black Alumni Association Summit about how, like, the last time I felt truly, genuinely happy was my freshman year of college. And that was 2016 or 2017, so that was like 10 years ago. And I was like, have y'all felt as happy since then? Like, what would we say the ingredients for that was? What was the recipe for that? Is it possible to be happy again like that? And we kind of ultimately decided that it's an anomaly. Like, freshman year is an anomaly. It's so curated. It's so curated. And everything is new. And there's new people, and there's new experiences every quarter. There's something new to experience, and there's so many synchronicities. Just even being on campus, living in close proximity to the people you really love and enjoy, and running into people, and like happening upon conversations, and just there's just a setup for a kind of like I don't know, like a rendezvous. I don't know, like to be caught up in the rapture of it all. Like, it's just what it is. And no, we don't maybe get to have that again. And I kind of let it go. I was like, okay, maybe I'm looking for something new. Maybe it's a new sensation, and maybe something different that I'm after now. But I think close proximity to people you love, or at least frequent contact with those people if they live across the country. Just thinking about the recipe for now. Oh, Spirit says move on from the recipe. Okay, moving on. So I'm feeling really good over these last 4 weeks because I have finally started doing what Spirit has been telling me to do for a long time, which is to first get back to journaling, like a significant amount every day. And I was inspired by morning pages. A friend of mine started the Artist Way. And also I was watching a video of Elton. He's talking about like, get your blue pen and you gotta write. You gotta write in the morning if you're trying to get these, make sure you're getting these transmissions and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, Spirit's been telling me to get back to writing. But I was like, I just want a voice note. So I actually got back to writing every day. And I do these EFT meditations with 22 routines on YouTube. I just choose the category that feels like what I need for the moment. Maybe I'm anxious. Maybe I'm in iconic energy and I want to affirm being iconic, or I need to know to dream bigger. I just choose whichever one that feels like it resonates for the day, and I do that. And then I discovered this woman named Veronica on YouTube, who is a PhD candidate and also the descendant of indigenous Mexican birth workers. And she's talking about oxytocin. And I remember when I was reading Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pell, she talks about oxytocin as this like master hormone that like is superior to cortisol. So if you can increase oxytocin in your life, you can decrease cortisol in your life, decrease stress in your life, because cortisol cortisol makes fat. Cortisol, just as we know, is when it's out of balance, it is just wreaking havoc on our bodies and its systems. So all this video is, well, I watch all her videos for the knowledge, and then she has a video of just slow intentional touch. She has a whole system that goes with cycle syncing and everything, but I've just been doing this slow intentional touch one. We just like, you look around. First you look around and just anchor yourself in the present. Then you kind of hug your head a little bit and just really feel your brain being held, and then just massaging the back of the neck a little bit. But then it's just really like a slow intentional touch. Like, even I'm just so sensitive to it now. I'm like, oh, I feel so much. The way oxytocin has been changing my life and I've been doing yoga too every day as much as I possibly can. I miss some days for some of these things, but for the most part, I've been really consistent. And when I tell you this oxytocin shit, this slow intentional touch shit, has changed my whole shit up. Okay. In February, y'all know I was on this platform with SI and depression and anxiety and not wanting to be Earthside and needing support so that I could just figure this shit out. And I'm so grateful because I was saying to myself, like, I cannot cross this bridge if people don't help me get across this bridge. And I've fucking crossed the bridge, or I'm at the last few steps, and I'm getting to it. I've been feeling so good. And this character that's been emerging out of this, like, as the survival energy in me, as the fight or flight is calming down because the oxytocin is coming online, the version of me, the remembering of who I am, but also being able to tap into all the fucking spiritual work that I've been doing over the last 5 years that I feel like I haven't really been able to embody because I've been in fucking survival mode. And I've just been healing, trying to fix what is actually a nervous system issue, right? I've been feeling so good. I've been washing my hair every week and like wearing other things instead of like athleisure, like just naturally being like, actually, I kind of want to look good today. Like, what do you have at your disposal? I don't have that much anymore, but like, girl, what do we have that we can make a little cute something? Can we put on a little lip? You know, like I've been wearing red lipstick again just for the fuck of it. And just keeping things tidy and like going down the rabbit hole of like reclaiming sewing as a hobby for myself, and just feeling so elated and deciding to build my life around living a sensational life, an erotic life. I feel erotic, uses of the erotic as power from an Audre Lorde perspective. So I was doing that for like 2.5 weeks. And what a lot of people say is like, if you can keep up with a character for like 30 days, you can change your whole fucking shit. So I was doing the oxytocin part of my morning routine of the slow intentional touch. So I turned it on. I started by looking around. And at this point, I looked around and it was like, you're not supposed to be here anymore. And I was like, oh. Now, mind you, also for another video, so much is happening, so many downloads and whatever. Like I said, the divine feminine has been moving. I knew I had stepped into some really, really, really new shit. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not compatible with me anymore. And what I find as well is that every time my frequency starts to get up, my landlord starts to cut up. So I'm like, this is so interesting. And it would usually bring my frequency just back down. But I had a heads up this time around, because when I looked around, I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. And I started to feel like energy that is as dense as energy can be, that is as dense as energy can be before it becomes physical, start to swirl and move around me. And I was like, oh shit, my external is about to start to match my internal. This is kind of cool. Because I've been praying for this. I'm like, I feel like I'm making so many shifts and changes. I'm integrating so many lessons and it's not being reflected in my external world. But it wasn't until I got out of fight or flight and could maintain that juicy character. She's just so juicy and she's grounded and she's just, aware that well-being is available to her always, that well-being is all there is. And we are encoded to, strip ourselves away from it. So Spirit's like, the winds of change are going. And you need to know that any chaos, anything that comes up from here is because we're shifting denser reality. And when denser things start to shift, it can be a little chaotic at first, but hold your frequency, hold your character, take care of yourself, nourish that inner child, nourish your emotions as things come up. You got the toolbox. But stay in the eye of the storm. Shit's about to start to shift. And sure enough, everything that I was too frozen, because that's my fight or flight, I'm in freeze mode, that I was too frozen to really try to approach or face, all of it came to the surface in the physical world for me to address. So the apartment. And I had been messaging my landlord, I think since June. I was like, I don't got it. I don't know when I'm gonna have it. So however we want to go about this, I will do. And I really couldn't get a straight away solution or decision from my landlord. And I think it was also because I wasn't ready. I'm also recognizing how powerful I am energetically, and also how Spirit is going to make sure I have provision, how powerful we are together, because it wasn't until I had got to a place where I could even imagine the future or something past this, was the apartment able to finally get released, and me and my was able to all right, when are you getting up out of here? But the text messages, the way this man talks to me, who is gonna make sure I just don't take it personal, child? It's crazy. This has been such a stressful experience. No matter what I do or how I try to show what my character is and what my heart posture is, it is never received or interpreted that way, and that's just beyond me. So, and then I have friends who had lent me their car, and then in April the battery died, and it's been kind of sitting in front of the house, parked in front of the house for a few, maybe a month and a half or something like that. Or maybe more than that. And he's like, have you abandoned the car? And I was like, no, I haven't abandoned the car. And I had already gotten downloads to reach out to my friends who had lent me the car to talk about like what are the options of like getting the battery replaced and me moving to somewhere else. And yeah, because I just couldn't do it financially at this point. So I had to face the car, I had to face the house, and I'm having to face all these things, moving, all my emotions about moving, because as I said, I've moved so much and moving is hard and there's so much unprocessed energy around moving, right? And transformation is big shifts. So Spirit's like, keep grounded while the winds of change blow. So as the winds of change have been blowing, my knees have been getting worse. Like from the day that I woke up and I was like, oh, you're not supposed to be here anymore. My body knew that meant I was moving even before it was confirmed, like maybe 4 or 5 days later. And my knees started to fuck up. And I was meditating on like, what is happening? What is in these knees? I know I've moved to a new timeline and there's something in these knees that are resisting the timeline shift. So then Spirit reminded me of something that they told me when I moved out the spot that I was living in November of 2024. And I was gonna go visit my mom and my sister. So the way Spirit showed it to me is that think about the colors of the rainbow, right? Purple is the highest frequency. It has the fastest wavelength. It has higher peaks and troughs, and they happen closely together. And then red is the lowest frequency, lower peaks and troughs that happen further away from each other, right? So our chakras are also mapped onto colors, which can be also mapped into these frequencies, right? So like cosmic energy, space energy is quicker, is faster. And the spirit moves faster. And then things condense and get really dense until we get to the physical matter, which is the root chakra, earth star chakra, and those things move slowly. Same essence, same stardust, just moving at a different frequency, right? So let's say you have an experience. Let's say you stub your toe. I guess I'll give two. Let's say you stub your toe. Oh, Spirit said Ashley, bitch. Okay. So if an experience you have is a length, let's just keep it for me. Let's say I have like probably miles of experiences of like displacement and moving and transition to process, right? And if you have a mile, let's say, what do I have that I can demonstrate this with? Okay, so let's say this is the experience, right? This is the experience. In spirit, your spirit is gonna process it this fast. So if this is crazy, so if time is going like this, right? 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, right? Because it has higher peaks and troughs and they're closer together, the amount of time it takes your spirit to process an event is very short. And then now you go to your mental, and the mental is gonna maybe take this long because it's a little slower, but it's still pretty fast. And then your heart is gonna take this much. Now it's taking like, 10 seconds. And then your sacral is now taking like, 15 seconds. And then your physical is taking 20 seconds. So an experience comes in, you have an experience, you understand it spiritually, and then you understand it mentally, but you stop at understanding it mentally. And you suppress your emotions, and you don't process it in the physical. And then that shit is going to accumulate over time. I have particular wounds around transitions. I have particular wounds around moving. I have particular wounds around things shifting and changing dramatically that makes quantum leaping and timeline jumping difficult to complete, for me to complete the entire mission, right? The car came in, the home came in, a job opportunity came in that wasn't right, and also the house wasn't right. But I didn't take the not right job, but I took the not right house, you know? Anyway, because I'm not completing the processing from the crown all the way down to the root into the earth star chakra, the energy is stopped at my hips and it's stopped at my knees, my ankles, my legs. So I have accumulated energy because I have stopped the processing. And what spirit gave me about the processing is that you need to breathe at the speed of the frequency you're trying to process. So with spirit, you breathe pretty fast and all that shit. Oh, I understand the spiritual meaning of this immediately. Cool. My mind understands the logic aspect of the spiritual meaning. Okay, cool. Boom. My emotions need to be processed around this. But I never learned how to do that. I never learned how to do it in transitionary times. I've never learned how to do it. It was not something that we did. So I have 40 something moves of length of things to process so that my knees can actually catch up to this timeline, because it doesn't need for it to be made sense out of. There's no, we don't have to entertain it. We don't have to get in there. We just need to give our attention to our emotions and the physicality of things for the amount of time that's left for this energy to move through the knees. And I did that. That's how I recovered my knees this last time, because I was really just moving through that denser energy. But it's denser and it's thicker and it's harder to stay with in sensation. You have to really breathe really slow, and it's thicker, and you got to stay in it for longer. And you have to learn where the alchemical, you have to find the skills or the place, the perspective that you need to stay in it, which spirit has kind of revealed for me is kind of like alchemy. So on one end we have the straw. Okay, I'm just gonna keep using this, I guess, child. I hope y'all fucking with me or understand what's going on. So let's say half of this is straw. This is the fucked up wounded situation or whatever that you've been experiencing. And the other half of this is gold. This is what your higher self knows about to be true about a situation. And we just have to process this to get to here, right? But it's not really this is not linear. We have to process the straw to get to the gold. So we're feeding the straw into a machine. The machine does something, which is our feeling of the emotion. And then on the other end, it becomes gold. If you're only paying attention to the straw of the thing, you're going to be depressed. You're going to have SI. You're going to be anxious. It's just not going to work. If you're only in the gold, you're numbing and you're not processing your emotions at all, which is how most of us freeze our emotions and that physical energy in our body. And I say physical energy, that might not make sense to people, but our auras, okay, spirit's move on. Okay, so, what we need to be is right here. The focus has to be a centimeter of straw and a centimeter of gold, but really the alchemical point, the point right in the fucking middle, the point where the straw actually becomes gold. That's where we rest our attention at. And then the processing becomes so fucking cathartic, because you're actually, the energy that's produced from the transformation, from the alchemical process, it feels cathartic then. Oh, I'm crying and I'm sad, but I feel so much better after. You have to stay in the cathartic point, and that's what makes makes physicality, that's what makes processing things more enjoyable. And you also have to take care of yourself. The oxytocin touch, while I'm doing the oxytocin touch, I feel so much beautiful sensation and my body's relaxing, and then all the shit that was stored up is also coming up at the same time. So I have to be in that balance place where I'm feeling the beautiful sensational, warm effects of the oxytocin, but also understand that its byproduct is that I get to let some shit go, and I need to feel those things too at the same time, which makes it bearable, which makes the process bearable. So the knees are representing the full, complete integration of how an event or a transformation or something made you feel. All of the things in your body, the codes, the energies, the entities, the beliefs in your body that were once compatible with the old timeline that have to come up to the surface to be released because they're no longer compatible with the new timeline. All that shit has to come up, and it has to be processed, completely processed, before you can feel safe enough to step into the next timeline. Because what the knees represent is like a not feeling ready to take the next step. When the legs are, I can't take the next step. So I have to sit with myself and be that mom, that family member that my mom didn't have the capacity to be for me. I have to sit with her, and everything that comes up, I'm like, that makes so much sense. You're so right. Even the things that I feel like could be contrary to what the golden beliefs are, the wounds, they aren't looking for, you can't logic a wound. A wound is not looking for logic. You can't give enough factual information to a wound for it to disappear, because if that was the case, then it wouldn't have existed, because the facts have already been proven, because you've processed it on the spiritual and you've also processed it on the mental. Facts are there. It just wants to be seen. It needs your awareness, and it needs it lovingly. So there's a part of me right now that's like, because Spirit keeps asking me, like, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm like, well, I really would like to just slide into something else alone. Like, to me, I look at the, me staying with friends and family in this last timeline. To me, that's the old timeline. That's not the new one. So I want to be in the new one on Saturday. On Saturday, I want to be going from here to somewhere else that is mine, and I'm alone, and all my stuff gets to come with me, and I don't have to take it to storage, and we're just unpacking somewhere else. That's what I want. But there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to, I think I really dissolved her, but this morning I was journaling and just letting her come up, and she was like, I don't feel like it's safe for us to believe that. I think we need to think more about storage. I think we need to think about, who are we going to ask? Whose house are we going to stay at? Because it feels like too much. I have too much doubt. I don't really trust that we're going to be able to make this happen, that a miracle is going to come in the next few days for you to be in your own spot. I think we should just do this. And I'm like, you know what? You make so much sense. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I agree. I think you're sounding, makes sense to me. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for keeping my best interest at heart. Thank you for, but the thing is, the underlying energy of her, she makes a lot of sense, but the underlying energy of her is a lot of doubt. It's like, it's not like this is just a logical thing. It is like, I doubt that this timeline shifting shit is real. I doubt that your internal is being now reflected in your external. I doubt that. So let's just play it safe, which is not necessarily conducive to what I'm trying to do, but I just need to listen to her and be like, girl, you're right. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm so grateful. You always be really trying to hold it down for us, and I'm grateful. And she dissolves. Then the next one that popped up was like, okay, Spirit's like, land the plane. All right. Or move on to something else. Okay. I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is that, like, for anybody out there who's been studying quantum leap, studying the law of attraction, studying, like, how do I actually change my life and change my circumstances? What Spirit was trying to tell me is that, like, bitch, you've actually always been here. You've been here. You've been here from the moment that you were responsible for yourself. You've been here. You just haven't had the tools to completely shed everything from all the codes and things that you learned as a child. So it's not about you. These last 5 years, these last 6 years have not necessarily been about you doing the healing work so that you can get what you want, because it's always been here, it's always been around you, you've been doing work to just integrate what you've manifested all the way through. You have to learn how to bring it all the way through, how to have capacity for your emotions, how to know which characters and which archetypes are that you're up against when you're being a victim, when you feel like a failure, when you think you're broken, when you think you don't know, and there's so much, I'm just so confused, I just don't know. There's all these archetypes, there's all these things that you have to move through and process through all the way through to the Earth Star chakra, so that you can have a clear channel for the next things, the next visions that are trying to come through for you are not survival. And because all you wanted this whole time was a home, a car, and some money, and a way of creating income that feels good to you. That's all you've wanted, and you've had that. You've had that in many iterations. You've had it. You vibrated out of your experience because you got scared, and then you got it again. And you vibrated out of your experience because you're just doing the process of getting it all the way down, and then also you're having the Kundalini awakening at the same time. Like, so just encouraging. I'm not even all the way over yet. I've been feeling like I've been going like, whoop, whoop, oh, you're here now. You're not. Oh, no. You know, I don't even know if the next thing is the thing. There might be something else for me to learn about timeline jumping. I don't know. And that's something I'm trying to keep myself like, don't ever think the next thing is going to be the end all be all. Because that's what also is disappointing. Like, oh, this is going to be it. I don't know what the fuck it's going to be. I don't care. All I know is Spirit always takes care of me. I've always had somewhere to stay. I've always had food to eat. I've always had my basic needs met. And what I'll end with is my cousin recently put me on Professor Melanie, and she was talking about CERN, which I think has is playing a very big role in why I'm finally able to exit this loop. At this point, everything kind of like started to take a whole lot of momentum after CERN got turned off. And somebody was asking questions at the end, and they were like, how do I stop making decisions for money? Which to me is like the number one capitalistic code, is that we all are just making money-based decisions and not thinking about divine will or thinking about our emotions and our, all these other things. Anyway, she said this, and I know this already, but she said, when you're doing your soul mission, you don't worry about money. It's not about money. Because when you're out here doing what you know Spirit has called you to do, to anchor, to shift the grid positively, to raise the vibration of the planet through what you came to give to your family and your friends and the world, you have to be taken care of because your work is important. You exist. And Spirit has told me this a long time ago in 2023 when I was like, am I going to quit my job or no? And I'm like looking at the bees, and I'm like, the bees do what's in their heart to do, and they are provided for. The hummingbird does what's in his heart to do, and it is provided for. The squirrel, everybody's following their nature. They're following what they're programmed to do, and things work out or things don't, and they die or we die. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's not that deep. Do what's in your heart to do, and you will be provided for. You'll be provided for. But what I didn't know that she said was, at first, it might just be your basic needs. At first, your spiritual mission might only be providing your very basic needs. And the provision might not even be coming through you. You might be riding the grace of others. Riding the wave of the grace of others. For the beginning of you practicing your soul mission. But as you increase your abundant mindset, not only will you be able to have more than your basic needs, the other needs, and then those needs can begin to flow through you, which she didn't say all this. She said, this is what she said. Not only will you be able to have your basic needs, but you have your wants and the desires of your heart too. And what I'm seeing that stretched out over time is that it just repositioned what the soul mission and the transfer of provision looks like for me, right? It makes me be less hard on myself. I have more compassion for myself. They're like, oh, this is just what it means that when you step out and you try to do your soul mission. And you think your soul mission is something else, and it's not. And then you have to get redirected 1,000 times because you thought I was making soul mission decisions based on money. So I thought I was supposed to like be money forward while I was doing that. So that's how we get 10K in 10 days. That's how we get the conduit method and trying to really push it and da-da-da-da, all those things. But that's not how Spirit wanted me to start. Spirit wanted me to start from an easier way for it to grow naturally, to meet the needs of people naturally, not from this like, I'm going to fundraise and da-da-da, like type. It's not what Spirit wanted from me. But I wasn't willing to be a baby soul missioner. I wasn't willing to be at the phase where my soul mission, that where my abundant mindset was, that I was only going to get my basic needs provided for at the moment. But as I know that I am the money, as I trust Spirit more, because I'm like, Spirit is not looking out for me, because it's not, the provision is not coming through me. It's not money coming to me. I'm still not able to participate in the world financially by following what I feel like Spirit is telling me to do, which is my soul mission. I've forsaken everything, all of my finances, everything about my finances have like collapsed. You know, things that I used to, that were really important to me. So I'm just like, I don't know what's happening next. I don't know how the provision is going to come about it. I'm not even asking about provision. I'm not even asking about money. I'm not even asking about specifics, really. All I know is I've tapped into a really beautiful frequency. I know now that I need to process everything all the way down to the ground, and that's what I'm doing. I know I have beautiful people coming to help me pack. I don't know where I'm going on Saturday. I don't know what's happening on Saturday. I have no idea. But more and more of me, as I process this energy of little Diana, who's moved 40-something times, little and big Diana, who's moved so many times, with no time to really sit and be like, hey, how are you feeling? What's me for you? Especially that move to Nebraska. Being heartbroken, I remember crying on the plane flying to Nebraska, just not knowing how to process my emotions. You know, I get to be there for myself. I get to talk to myself nicely. I am deactivating code after code just by being like, girl, you are so right. You're so right. One code is like, I'm worried about how people are going to perceive me as I'm on my soul mission journey. I feel like everybody thinks I'm irresponsible and not a good steward, and that if I just got a job and, you know, all these other things, like if I could, Diana's being irresponsible, Diana's not, you know, it's because Diana's not Christian that she's struggling. Is, you know, I'm really, this part of me is really worried about people's perceptions of what my journey is looking like. And I'm like, you know what, bitch, this makes so much fucking sense. From a tribal perspective, from a root chakra perspective, girl, what the tribe views and thinks of you, girl, is so important. I see why this is something that's on your heart, and thank you for sharing it. And before you know it, she's gone. She's not even there anymore. But we want to be in war. No, I can't think this. I have to think positive. That's another code that's like, we don't have time to do this. We gotta hunk in. We gotta be in the vortex. Ugh. I'm like, that's not how we get in there either. However, I understand, bitch. You tired of waiting. You ready. You ready, girl. You ready. And you know that if we gonna get this, we gotta hold a certain frequency. It's true. You're so right. Thank you for sharing. And before I know it, that bitch going to. You know? So, sending everybody so much love as we learn more about ourselves, on what it takes to actually quantum leap and what it actually takes to bring something into reality through the instrument of the body and all the things we have access to. Our energy systems, our aura, our practices, the inspired actions that we take that communicate to the universe that we're doing something different. The last thing I'll say is I was deep in my coping mechanisms, and I was like trying to watch something on TV and eat and scroll and play solitaire at the same time. That's how I know I'm really trying to avoid my emotions. And I was like, okay, I know I shouldn't be watching something right now and doing all this, but what if I watch everything everywhere all at once? Because it popped up for free on YouTube. So I was like, okay, let me watch this. And I don't watch that much of it because I just didn't feel like it after a while. But I saw what I needed to see. They go into the IRS building, and what's written on the paper for her to do this timeline jump is to put her shoes on the wrong foot imagine herself in the closet and then press the button. And it just reminded me how, like, you really do trigger new timelines when you just decide to do things a little differently. When you take a new route to work, airlines tell us all the time, like, y'all just drive a new route to work. Do something a little different than you did before. You know, write with your left hand for a little bit, or your non-dominant hand for a little bit. Like, if you would normally eat a peach every day, bitch, eat a plum. You know, small shit. Because those are things that do different stuff to your brain. They shift you on timelines because you made a new decision. You made a different decision. And a different decision is going to trigger a different timeline. So me writing every morning, me EFTing every morning, me oxytocining, yoga, and then the things that I was prompted to do from that place. Like, actually, I think I'm not going to wear athleisure. I think I'm actually going to put on a dress. I think I'm actually going to get dressed for real. That was triggering a whole other different shit. And then that triggers different decisions about how I feel and what I'm doing and how I show up and my frequency. Like, just a new decision, a difference, you can like really branch out to the point that you're like, okay, now I'm moving. I don't know what's next. I'm hoping to have a really beautiful testimony. That's the goal. I'm gonna have a really beautiful testimony either way, and the reality is I'm okay whether I end up in a friend's spare bedroom or couch, or whether I end up in a new spot, or however long it takes me to get to a new spot. It's not about not getting into the new spot. It's about just whatever time and space it takes. If it's not to Saturday, if I have to wait some time before it reveals itself and it happens, then that's okay. I'll just continue to practice my frequency because it's working. And I pray that for you. If you made it all the way through the end of here, love you down. And happy manifesting, happy integrating all the way down to the bottom. Happy having compassion for yourself. Ciao out.